You are listening to Transmissions from the Planet Zog, Milo and Teal, Book 1, Birds of a Feather, Chapter 10, Structures and Honeycomb. On Earth, we're just becoming notionally familiar with the concept of three-dimensional printing. An object is programmed into a computer using digitalized measurements, and the final volume is printed out in layers of fast-drying substance until its three-dimensional form is clear, hard, and ready to use. On Zog, this idea had long since evolved into virtual fields programmed through sound lattices. The practice of the songster was responsible for building the invisible. Powerful fields of frequency were the energetic or thought containers of an idea, and these were first sung into existence. To explain, an object, any object, would be imagined. It would then be drawn, perhaps as a picture, sculpted in miniature form, or simply held in the mind. A songster would then translate this into pure sound, using clear sine waves sung by the human voice in one of the crystalline rooms of the Zoggian recording studios. A field of energy would be established. Depending on what the final structure was to be built out of, this field in a song would be sung again, or played back via the pods, which could hold an almost infinite number of different recordings. If the structure was to be grown out of plants, it would be played or sung to the plants many times over, establishing a virtual grid of frequency in the space where the plant was to occupy, or crystals would be programmed with the song, and they could hold that field of form until the plant had materialized the pattern which had been transmitted. The plant would gravitate to the position set by the song and grow into specific forms. Trees would grow into houses, roots into extraordinary architectural lattices, plant roots into woven mats, crystals into particular forms or colours, and metals deep within the crust into certain shapes and sizes. Sound was used to hold a form and to suggest the movement of the living matter. The Zoggians had realised that it was easier all round to build their structures this way than processed raw materials after harvesting. The whole thing would get messy and never be as complete or as strong as something which grew organically. Songsters were the big guns on Zog, and it was no wonder that Teal had her eyes on this kind of occupation. Not only did they create songs for construction, but for drawing in and allowing new thoughts, for maintaining healthful patterns in a body, for crop cultivation, and for animal-to-human communication. They were used in the process of harvesting animals for food, fertility, intelligence, sensitivity, and happiness. Teal knew she had it in her to endlessly delve inside herself and be open as a flower to inspiration from the surrounding guidance of her ancestors and her fellow Zoggians, funneling this all into new songs to shape her world. Knowing this, she spoke to her mother. "Mum, I like the smell of these beans," said Teal. "They smell like a new idea." "You can smell ideas, Teal," said Milo, startled. Synesthesia was a normal gift on Zog, but idea smelling was a new one to Milo. "I mean, the smell makes me forget anything old or tiresome and gives me a big warm space inside my head. It's as if I could think a new thought, perhaps a thought I'd never had before, something special and sparkly, something to keep me hopping about with. I almost think I have to write another song for Earth. Mum, can I take a moment and go and write? I've got my pod with me." "Why, of course, Teal," answered the sensibly generous Sonia. "We'll be busy here for another 2 hours, so you will know where to find us. Remember your snake wisdom." "Oh, yes," said Teal, too high on ideas to be more than mildly discouraged at the thought of wandering jungle paths where snakes might lurk. "I'll keep my awareness open for the hissing of the poisonous ones. I always get a tingling in the back of my neck if I sense any near. I'll keep a listen out. Bye!" And off she hopped, out of the relative shade of the green conference space. She was aiming for the bungee platform high above the waterfall and at the end of the village. She felt sure the vast view would inspire her to put into words exactly the thought she was reaching towards in her feelings. It took her 5 minutes running, climbing, and identifying the right fast lift upwards to settle into her philosopher's pose. Tethered to the platform with a guest bungee silk, no one liked to see children falling over the edge without a proper harness, she hummed quietly as she wrote. "There we are," said Teal to herself as her fingers typed away on her pod. Sail away, that's where the ships go when they leave the harbour, taking paths of adventure to bring a fresh new view of home. Sail towards a new thing, a free thing, feel it in your bones. Sail up high, towards the sky, there something waits for you. It's a little hint, a pretty tint of a colour you're about to discover. Wouldn't it be great and wonderful to feel brand new? Wouldn't it be perfect to find out who you are, at least for a while? I'm sure the goalposts change as the waves upon the sea, but just for a moment, you can be truly free. If you follow it, your ship's call. Sail far and freely, let the oceans soothe your bearing. Sail far, my darling, you and I are daring. Muttered Teal to herself, suddenly surprised to find Foni sitting next to her, legs also dangled over the edge. Goodness, Mum told me to look out for snakes, but instead it's you who's crept up on me. So I'm a snake now? And Foni was smirking. A snake who would kindly like to inform you that your mother is staying at the fountain house tonight. Her bean pickers turned out en masse, and they've completed the whole harvest already. Tomorrow morning, she informs me, you'll be fermenting the beans and packing the harvest to take with you, so you have the whole evening free, and you can do whatever you'd like, including bungee jumping with me. But I don't want to throw myself off the edge like you do, Foni. I can't think of anything which scares me more. And yet, replied Foni, you take yourself up here all on your lonesome to write your latest song. But that's different, said Teal. How different? I see a Teal who likes wide vistas, daring spaces, and the feeling of freedom. In what way does that not equip you to jump bungee? I don't know, squealed Teal in mock anguish. But I do, Foni continued. You don't want to mess it up. You'd step out as soon as if you felt you could jump as well as your brother feels he can. Now what is this rivalrous insecurity? It's not like you to limit yourself. Foni well knew how much Teal adored pushing the boundaries of her own personal expectations. Perhaps if I sang a song first I could soothe my anxiety, replied the thoughtful Teal. You see, I feel that I might hit something on the way down, and as long as I have that doubt, I don't want to jump. I know how powerful my doubts are in influencing my reality. They're even faster to appear than my convictions sometimes. But that's just because you recognize the bits which don't work more powerfully than all the things you do, which work perfectly first time, counselled Foni, and they laughed at the complexity of his sentence. Yes, I know. Teal turned towards him and diverting her gaze from the view to scan her cousin's face. And it's probably why I'm attracted to working with the planet Earth and its people. I want to feel more confident in my ability to create the brilliant positive things of life. It's silly, perhaps not. After all, everything is always working out for me, and I have a wonderful life. But silly it isn't, Teal. It's just a fear. And all you need to do is concentrate on your successes, one after the other, and the fear will melt away by itself. Shall we? What? Concentrate on all my successes? Asked Teal, surprised at the level of interest Foni was showing her. Yes, why not? I'm so happy to have found you and Milo, to be honest. I was starting to get a little tired of my own company day in and day out here. I've been training for 4 weeks now, mostly on my own. It's nice to have my cousins to chat to, and perhaps we can get you soothed enough to have a real adventure. On the bungees. I think you'll find Milo is your only willing disciple there, said Teal. Oh dear, Foni muttered to himself. Milo is not big enough to bungee yet. No one will take responsibility for him. Teal was genuinely surprised to hear Foni being so blunt about her brother's ambitions. Oh no, he's going to be woefully sad when he hears that. He's been pinning his hopes on getting to jump this year. Mum even said he could, said Teal. Which is why perhaps that she did. I'm sorry, Teal. But he's going to have to wait a year until he's grown at least 2/3 adult size. I don't know how we'll tell him, murmured Teal. I want to think of something else he'd love to do, which he can. Would it be safe for him to bungee with you? On the same rope? I mean, held on by a harness? Teal's mind was working to find solutions. It was what she trained herself to do. What all Zoggians practiced. The moment of a disappointment was a much shorter experience than we indulge in here on Earth. All Teal knew was that she wanted to think happier about the situation fast, and all of her focused energy was directed right now to doing so. I believe we could do that, Teal, mused Foni, thinking this scenario through. I'm not one of the heavier jumpers. At my young age, you wouldn't expect me to be, would you? I reckon we could construct a safe harness and strap Milo to me. I'll talk to your mum first, as she is the yay or naysayer here. But it could be done, couldn't it? Asked Teal, full of hope for Milo. Yeah, it could be done, replied Foni. Good then. I'll go off and meet Mum and Milo, said Teal, satisfied that Milo had come one step further to fulfilling another of his dangerous wishes, and happy with her short song for the children of Earth, whoever these may turn out to be. Maybe I'll eat something and you can come and chat to Mum while I distract Milo with my latest project. Perfect, said Foni. It was afternoon, and the vanilla pods had been stashed for transport and set to ferment. Foni had spent his morning fashioning a suitably strong and perfectly sized harness for Milo's jump with him. Standing at the edge of the village platform was now a strange beast, full of arms, an extra pair of legs seemingly attached at the waist. Strung up this way together, Sonia felt relatively soothed about her son's wish to jump with Foni, but she wasn't sure whether she could watch or have to turn away. She felt tremors of an unusual emotion with her, fear, and she eagerly sought to distract herself by conversing with Teal about her plans to visit the Village of Colour. I will connect you with Fabi. She's one of the colour intensifiers there. She's told me she can take you into the mines with her this evening when she works. I feel I should warn you, it is very hot down there and you won't see much. Fabi says they stand about 100 metres above where the crystals are forming and work carefully with sound and crystal amplifiers. It may not be as thrilling as you hoped. I just want to feel it when they ask the crystals to grow, Mum. I feel it's important for me to understand how they respond to our voices and thoughts. I want to learn more about how sound works, how it gets into things and changes the frequency of what it passes through. Yes, I can understand that interest. Teal, it was what your father was playing with when I met him. He knew how sound could bring people around and move them rapidly up the emotional scale. He was exploring how frequencies interact, especially when they cause dissonance. And Teal was about to ask what that word meant when Foni called out, Right, time to go, me lad. Teal grabbed her pod and began to capture the image just as the two of them dipped over the platform edge and swooped down into the great space below. Teal saw the white foam of the falls and Milo's feet as he dropped for a second into the water, and then they were hurtling back up, headed towards them, and Foni made an expert reach out to one of the near-hanging vines and pulled both of them back to the platform. Wow! Screamed Milo, full of blusterous glee. I want to go again! Foni, can we now? Mum, Sonia, is that okay if I jump with your son one more time? Foni looked hopeful for his little friend. I suppose I could actually watch this time. All right, you have my blessing. And peeping between her fingers, she watched as her son descended into the blank air below them, as happy as she had ever seen him. His father would be rather proud right now. He had been invited to participate in a great experiment in Essie, so had not accompanied them, but her pod, aimed at the smiling face of their son, would bring back some otherwise missed memories to him on his return. Mum, I'm coming to get you! Yelled Milo as he reappeared over the platform edge and landed neatly in front of his mother as she reached forward to take him into her arms. Milo wasn't having any of that, and unbuckling as fast as he could, burst forth to grab his pod, which he had strapped to his ankle, and relive his moments all over again. Mum, I don't have time for that now. I have to learn how it's done so that next time I can go on my own. Wow, that was fast. We nearly landed in the waterfall.